Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shadow at Night. This is Friday, January the 17th, 2025. On the show tonight from Kiclei, Canada. Gather 2030 on Substack. Maggie Hope Braun, who is on a tour, I guess, of Canada. She's in Alberta right now, where she's trying to get rid of these UN SDGs, these UN smart city plans, these Kiclei smart city plans that are popping up all across the country. You hear me talk about them quite often. So what happened today was Maggie sent me a text, I'm going to say around 3:30 or 4 o'clock Central Time. And she said, read this. It'll make you smile. And I looked at it. It's like 14 pages long and the print is really small. And I said, why don't you just come on the show tonight? So Maggie is coming on the show in just a couple of minutes. Maggie Hope Braun, Kiclei, Canada, trying to get rid of the smart city plans all across the country. It's not easy, but she is having success, and she's got some great news from Alberta tonight. Also, Mark Carney has been told to stop using his campaign logo because apparently it's been trademarked by somebody else. He got a cease and desist. Chrystia Freeland is going to announce her candidacy for the Liberal leadership at some point this weekend. And Justin Trudeau has put together his U.S.-Canada Relations Council in preparation for the big Trump tariffs, which are set to hit us, I think, on Monday. Once he takes office officially as the president of the United States, sits down in that Oval Office and starts writing executive orders, I think one of the first ones is going to be 25% tariffs across the board on Canada, no exceptions. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm joking about this because it's a big deal. Economists are suggesting it could be a $70 billion or more hit to our economy, instant recession, and thousands, tens of thousands of people will, if they don't lose their jobs, they'll be temporarily laid off from their jobs, and who knows what's going to happen after that. Many people are suggesting this was the plan the whole freaking time. So we'll talk more about that later on. I have a horrifying video coming up a little bit later on in the show, and a video of hope and kindness that I'm going to wrap up the social media part of the show with tonight. And then we're going to hear from an arborist, an expert on trees, who's wondering why all the trees are burning wrong as those Los Angeles fires continue to burn. Why are these trees burning from the inside out? How is that even possible? Hello, everybody. Leanne is watching tonight. Bill is watching tonight. Gould. What's her first name? You said Katrina. I don't think it's Katrina. Karina. Karina Gould, the government house leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, is supposed to announce on Sunday as well. Whatever. Kim is watching tonight. Hello, John. Hello, Randy. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Phil in Wainwright, Alberta. Justin is watching tonight. Who else is watching here? Edna is in Victoria. Hello, Joyce, watching in Fort Capel, Saskatchewan. Giselle is watching from the Sunshine Coast. Leanne is watching from somewhere, I don't know where. Robert's watching in Kelowna. Hello, Robert. Roseanne, Barb, Ellen, Diane, Margaret, Tony, Michelle. Shadow, can you tell whoever does this music how awesome it is for me, please? Well, there's two distinctly different songs. There's the first one, and then there's the second one, but I'll be happy to pass your compliments along to both of them, and thank you very much for that. Wherever you're watching from tonight, oh, I don't want to forget Rumble. Hello, Amnesty, Braveheart, Chicken Hair, Esky Dog, Alan Zinger, watching from Grunthal, mouth of the South, Chad, Patricia, Ragnar Wallace in Calgary. Dog Park Lady is watching tonight from, where are you watching from? Madoc, Ontario. Chicken Hair for Mayor, all you guys on Rumble, thank you for being here tonight. whichever platform you're watching on, don't forget to like and share. Get this out to as many people as you possibly can. The show, as always, is brought to you by Canada nanosilver.com, and we'll mention more about them as the show goes on. Let's bring Maggie on right now. Hello, Maggie. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to be here tonight. Thank you, Shadow, for having me.
Good to have you on. It's been a few months now, and you don't look tired at all, which is something I was expecting, considering you've been on the road for the past week or so. You're in Alberta, and it seems like you're busy every day except today. And then I tell you, hey, come on the show tonight.
Yeah, I thought about it for a second, and I thought, why not?
Why not, indeed? Well, you sent me that big thing on the text today, and I went, oh, no, I can't read this. You know what it is? It wasn't that I didn't want to read it. It's just that my eyes were hurting me. I'm an old man, and I just didn't have the attention span. It's Friday afternoon, and I thought, you know what? Maggie would be better to explain this anyway. So what's happened out there? You seem very happy with all of this.
I am. I kicked off, I set some objectives for myself this year with Kiclei, and doing a nationwide tour is first on the list. We've had a whole bunch of little victories last year, and I would like to see that duplicated across the country. And I think the best way to do that is to touch down in every province, connect with everyone who's interested in this stuff, do as many town halls as possible. And I've been working on provincial reports. And as I'm in each province, really specializing that report and learning more about what's actually happening with their communities and with how the international organizations are interacting with the province as well as the municipalities. And just want to leave each province with a lot of good information that they can give to their local councillors, and a campaign and all the tools that they need to push this forward, especially as the fall of 2025 approaches. We will be ready to go across Canada to really push back on Kiclei, on the FCM, and address the climate action plans that are taking place across the country and all these official plans that are tied to net zero. So
now, when you say FCM, you're talking about the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Maggie, have you been seeing a lot more of these plans popping up lately, or is it just that people are now noticing them?
Oh, it's just that we're noticing them. I discovered this in 2009 when I was living out in British Columbia in Terrace, BC. The first time I moved there, and I had time to look at the paper and see what was going on in the community. And they were doing an official plan and opening it for public consultation. And I clicked on it, 300 pages long as usual. And all I could see was the United Nations objectives throughout it. So It's been going on for quite some time.
All of these sustainable development goals. And, here in Manitoba, we've been besieged by them. Like, they've literally been coming out almost daily, and I get a message every single day. The other day, they had a meeting in a city called Steinbach, which is about a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes southeast of the city of Winnipeg, where they were rolling out this new plan. So we had some spies go down to that meeting and see if there were any UN objectives that were listed in this plan. And they said, no, it seemed fine. I said, you guys know what to look for? And that's when well, what do you mean what to look for? And I went, oh, I see. So what should people, because it's one thing to find a plan, Maggie, and when I say this to people on the show, I say, if you want to know if your municipality is part of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, which is part of Kiclei, all you need to do is type the name of your municipality, city, or town into a Google search, and then plan 2030 or 2050, and something is going to come up probably in the first two returns, right? But then when you click on the plan, it's like, how do I see if this is one of those UN plans or if it's just a regular old local plan that these politicians have cooked up?
Yeah, what I look for are we're starting to find the same pattern and objectives. So what I look for is anything related to net zero by 2050 or reduction targets, anything to do with complete communities or 15-minute city models under various names, active transportation, and a transition to EV infrastructure and electric vehicles. There is usually an emphasis on global investors, and I think that that's really tied into the 15-minute city model. And we see that when we drive into our towns, we see the same big chains and their stores in every town now, right? And I think that that's part of the 15-minute cities too, is where the mom and pop shops get kind of knocked out and the corporate chains get installed. So anything like that, what I do.
You should say that. I just thought that was a natural progression of the way society has been going for the past 20 years or 30 or 40 years. But that's an interesting way to look at it.
It's a pattern that I've noticed along the way. And if people really want to help their councils to advocate against these official plans and rework them so that they do work for the community, and you have an eye for this, what I do is I print out the plan and I just go through it, I skim through it, and I highlight all of those words, and then I get a broad overview, and then I'll put together a report, and we can point to their exact wording and show them that that is very much in their plan. If we look at Brandon's plan for 2050, the entire plan was about net zero. And I find that really interesting because municipal priorities, there's about 10 of them. And, they have to look at the roads, the infrastructure, the community buildings and programs, community safety, public safety, economic development, and housing and zoning. And those are all under municipal priorities and responsibilities and environmental stewardship. But what they've done is inserted global sustainable development goals underneath that in local environmental stewardship, and it starts to suck all the funding and time away from the administration and funding from the other priorities and redirecting it to EV charging stations and green municipal fleets and all this other stuff that is killing the small businesses. And it's different whether you're in a small town or a city too. So this has a negative impact on both.
What is the difference between the small towns and the cities? Are the cities further along with these plans?
Well, sustainable development was sold to us as this idea of we're going to save the land for future generations.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that we were signing up for a development scheme that was designed around redirecting population growth away from small towns and rural communities and into urban areas and high density housing, which when you look at a map of Canada, it's pretty obvious to see that that is not a development scheme that works for this country. And it's actually quite against when you look at our national security is actually threatened if we are not dispersed across the country. We need to have strong communities dispersed across the rural areas as well. So what it is doing is when the population goes down in the small towns, they don't have the tax base to provide services, and they slowly get downgraded. And then the people are displaced and they end up moving to the cities. And there they have the housing issues and affordability. And then we have more homelessness and mental health because people are displaced and their families are getting broken up. So it's just a long-term pattern. It's been 30 years, and we should be able to see the last 30 years what's changed and know that that's exactly when they started implementing sustainable development. And we can see that is part of the root cause of a lot of our country's nationwide crises.
So they're squeezing people out of small towns and rural communities, trying to drive them into cities. This is exactly the plan that we heard Rosa Koire talking about in 2013. It's absolutely amazing how much of it has come to light. One thing I'm hearing more and more from people, and I can talk about Councillor Lisa Robinson in Pickering. There's another councillor in London. And now here in the Winnipeg metropolitan area, there is a municipality called Springfield, and the mayor there is quite a bully. What he's doing is he's kicking people out citizens out of town council meetings for asking valid questions or telling them to sit their asses down and listen to what we have to say. And now, Maggie, they are talking about actually getting rid of the question and answer period for every town meeting that they have once a month. If you're talking about something that's off the agenda, are you seeing a lot of this happening where these councils are just puffing up and pushing people away? They don't want to listen to them?
Well, I guess I might have a different perspective on that.
Well, that's because
I
everybody
agree.
loves you and you're so very, very nice, and it's just so easy to sit next to you. It is. I mean, look at her. She's great. But I mean, for the average person, they want to go and ask a question. The mayor says, get out. And then, some of these mayors and councilors are even kicking out other councilors who disagree with them, which is crazy, because if you can't get into a council meeting to express your opinions or ask a question, then how are we going to fight back on this?
Yeah, it can be really frustrating. And I think it's also to be expected that we're going to see a response to more people engaging at the local level. So when I woke up this morning, it was kind of funny that Kiclei wouldn't have even been needed or wouldn't have happened had Canadians not witnessed the largest protest in Canadian history, with people coming from all across this country to the nation's capital after 2 years of trying to call our representatives and have our voices heard and express the harm that was being caused across the country to our businesses and our families. And anyway, we went to Ottawa and nobody listened to us. In fact, they told us to go home. And that's what we did. And now we are at home. We're dispersed again across the country. And this revelation that the agenda of the United Nations and the elite is being implemented voluntarily in local councils without even their relative knowledge of who Kiclei is or what Agenda 21 is or anything. So this idea of
no, go ahead, finish.
This idea of collaborating with our local councils and looking to them now, because the country is lacking leadership, right? We don't have any leadership at the national level. So, but we can talk to our local councils, and we're looking to our local councils across the country to step up and be leaders, and for our communities at the very least, and to work together with them to protect our land and our funds from any external interest, because we don't have anything more to give. Our communities need to keep all our funding that's available to us for municipal priorities to go to municipal priorities, not to global sustainable development goals. That is not a municipal priority. So if you go to the Take Action page on kiclei.ca, we have a nationwide survey right now, and we want to provide that data to local councillors across the country to show them that at the local level, Canadians want their local leaders to prioritize their municipal priorities and responsibilities over any global mandate. So
yeah. Are you hearing,
be a big one.
I know you've had successes in Ontario in a few cases, and that's been awesome. And I hope you're going to tell us about the success you've had in Alberta in the past few days. How do we recognize Kiclei in our towns or our cities? Whenever I think of them, I still get this image in my head of just some shady character in a meeting sitting at the back. Nobody really knows who that is. And they're just sitting there and they're listening, or maybe somebody is whispering in the mayor's ear or CAO's ear. Like, are these people visible? Are they volunteers? Do they work for the United Nations? How exactly are they placed in these city administrations?
Well, that's the beauty of going in and watching your local council meeting when this stuff is being discussed, and when somebody is going to step up from your community and do a presentation to bring forward information that they are working alongside the FCM and Kiclei and these programs, because what we notice is there is always one counselor who is driving the agenda forward, at least one. And it only takes one, because it all sounds so good that another counselor will second it, and the community isn't there to oppose it. And the David Suzuki Foundation has gone around with their $6 billion budget and gathered 500 signatures from the community saying that the community wants this plan. So they adopt it. And that's why we have to go in there and participate locally, so that we can see who is driving it. Because we know with the Partners for Climate Protection program, it comes in with a simple joining resolution, but then they get one counselor and one staff member to be oversee the file. So it's that staff member who's communicating with Kiclei, and Kiclei's giving the recommendations to the staff member, and the staff member is working it through to get it onto the agenda through the counselor, and then it just keeps going forward like that. So that's why we have to watch our agenda, and everything that is related to the Sustainable Development Goals that aren't to the benefit of our community, we can go in and we want to address that. And we're showing that there's ways that we can do that. We've had so many small wins, Shadow, in the last month or so, and I'd love to share some of those.
Please do. I'm curious and excited.
So we had our big win in Thorold. We proved that we could get them to withdraw from the program. I then did a cost analysis because I found it fascinating. They kept saying, well, participation in the program is free. Interesting way that they phrased that. Participation is free. That doesn't mean that the program is free. So I did a cost analysis, and I laid it all out in order to do all 5 milestones and all the data collection and all the consultations, and then implement these plans with 15-minute city models and upgrading the municipal fleet. There's a whole list. How much would that cost? Most conservative estimate. And I put that in a report to go to the councils across the country, and anywhere from $7 million to $192 million. Very conservative estimate. And we know Calgary is spending $80 billion on their climate action plan is for this year, right? So my point with that report is it's not free. You need to, the councillors, we made the recommendation that the council needed to do a cost analysis on how much they've spent on the program and how much they're projected to spend. And for the first time in Canadian history, Tiny Township in Simcoe County, that we did 2 deputations there, Tay and Tiny Township Council accepted the recommendation, and they're doing a cost analysis on the program, which is great, right? So we've proven that we can go in at budget time and we can get them to start questioning these programs and slowly nudge them out of it, right? Uh-huh. So that was great. Any questions about that?
Did they ask you for a replacement? Like these counselors, they're going to be going, all right, that's fine. This is obviously costing way too much money, but we have to have something. So what else can we do? Do you have alternatives already for them? Oh, by the way, I've already worked out an alternative for you that costs much less.
Absolutely. So the next one we did was Kawartha Lakes, and that's where we brought in the alternative to net zero and using regenerative agriculture. The soil holds carbon. Oh, 1 second. Sorry. That light is on a timer, I guess.
Some kind of a power outage?
Good thing he told me about that. He said the light might turn off. So we went to Kawartha Lakes. We did an alternative to net zero program. We know that the soil can hold carbon. It's usually about 2% carbon, but through a certain rotational grazing practice, that soil carbon content can go from 2% to 10% in less than a decade. So we can look at every municipality, what their population is, get the calculation for their emissions. And in Kawartha Lakes, for instance, they would need to convert, I think, 5% of their pastoral grazing land that they already have cattle on and grazing animals to this rotational grazing
program.
I mean, and go for it. So
do we not talk to these people and say, oh, and by the way, Canada's already a massive carbon sinkhole, so you really don't have to do any of this stuff. So it's all for, show purposes, right?
Well, and
just to say they're doing something if anybody asks.
But this, as somebody who is environmentally minded too, if there is an environmental issue of our time, it is soil depletion. So this is a way that we can take what they meant for control, we'll say, and turn it into something that could be used for good. And then what I've done with the provincial reports is I look at the population of every province and then all of their carbon sinks. So their forests, their wetlands, their peatlands, the list goes on. I get the amount of hectares that they have for each ecosystem. Each one has a different carbon absorption. And so in Renfrew County this week, I did a deputation there. I did this presentation, a little different from the last one, and showed them that Ontario already absorbs at least 7 times more, 4 to 7 times more CO2 than it emits, right? And I gave them the numbers. And what's great about what came out of Renfrew this week is they were very open to the presentation, and they asked me to work with their GIS staff and that they would give me the exact hectares for all the ecosystems in Renfrew County, and we would do a report specific to them. So this is just another example of how they are open to receiving this information. And we need to have people all across the country who are already great researchers, who can learn how to do this stuff, to come alongside their council and actually help them. Because our councillors, none of them have an assistant. They don't have a researcher. They don't have those people there at their disposal. So we can be those people. And then they're not just left with the staff who are trained in pushing forward the program. They have some support from us.
Yeah, that's great. And I saw a photo of you on your Facebook, I think earlier this week, and it looked like about 30 or 40 people. Was that a seminar? Were you teaching people how to engage with their councils, things to look for? What are those seminars all about?
So that was my first one. It was great. We had a capacity of 30. We had 30 people there. We spent the whole day together. I did a presentation. I shared how to do exactly what you said, these tools. It was a lot of question and answer. I think people just have questions, and we learned a lot from the question and answer. And then the networking, to pull together the network of people who are, following this work on Facebook. And as soon as I was walking to my first event, I was like, this is so cool. It reminds me of the meme. I'm going to buy one of those buses and drive across the country and pick up all my Facebook friends. So that's what I'm doing. That's
great. I mean, are you planning to do this everywhere across the country now? Because people are interested. And whenever I talk about this, Maggie, I have to tell you, whenever I talk about this stuff, people always message me after that particular show and they say, yeah, but what can I do? And then I think, well, I got to talk to Maggie, right? But then you're busy doing something, and so you're only one person. This could turn into quite a big thing if you continue having the success that you're having. Yeah.
We've had 2 large speaking events and 1 smaller one, and then 1 meeting with elected representatives. So I've spoken to about 1,000 people in the last couple of days here in Alberta, and we're coming back. And the interest in this work is, I don't even know what to say. Right? Every event we've gone to, it's packed. And we do have tools now. So there's something that everyone can do really simply. And maybe this would be a good time to show that letter that the county of Stettler sent Sure.
You want to put the letter up? Okay.
When I sent it to you, I have to say, I really wanted to hear you read it. And so I'll put it up. It's only 3 paragraphs.
Oh, that's it? Is it the PDF that you sent me?
Yes, but I'm sorry. I should have just said it's at the very bottom. It's okay.
No, I can find it. It's just in such small print.
Oh, no, here, I got it.
Now, is this the one that says, Dear Ms. Bly?
Yes.
You want me to read
this
that?
is a
I can read that.
letter. I can make it bigger. This is a letter from the County of Stettler that they just sent to the FCM on
Federation of
December
Canadian
16th.
Municipalities. Yep.
And it's a rural municipality. And if you just read the first and second paragraph and then the last one, shadow, or
Okay.
you're a better reader than me, I think. But they have removed themselves as a member of the FCM, and they explain why. And I think you'd be interested, and the audience would be interested in that.
Okay, so here it is. Dear Ms. Bly, like Captain Bly from Mutiny on the Bounty, non-renewal of membership for 2025. The County of Stettler number 6 wishes to formally notify the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, of our decision to not renew our membership for the 2025 fiscal year. This decision has been made following careful consideration and echoes concerns raised by other rural member municipalities. Oh, that's good. That's really good. We believe the FCM has increasingly moved away from adequately representing the unique challenges and priorities of rural municipalities. While we recognize the importance and possibilities of a national body advocating for all municipalities across Canada, we feel the needs and voices of rural communities like ours are being overshadowed by those of larger urban centers. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities' mandates and activities appear to prioritize urban issues, leaving rural concerns marginalized and our voice effectively silenced. That's great. Our council believes wait. I want to finish. It's the last couple of lines. Our council believes its essential membership investments yield tangible benefits and foster inclusivity. I guess they feel as though they want to be included in all of it. They're not talking about the inclusivity that we've come to hate, the DEI inclusivity. Unfortunately, we no longer see these outcomes for our combined participation in the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. We hope the FCM will take these concerns into account to better serve rural municipalities in the future. As always, we're open to engage and for further discussion on the issues and barriers we're experiencing. Larry Clark Reeve, the County of Stettler, number 6, Alberta. That's great.
And then they sent it to the rural municipal associations of every province, which I think is fantastic. How do I get back to you here?
So now you can you've got this one municipality here who is sending this letter out to other municipalities across the country that they're affiliated with, probably, the size that they are, maybe a little bit smaller even. To even, I mean, these municipalities, these councils in these places probably don't even know, as you've pointed out in the past, Maggie, that they've got this joining agreement with the FCM in the first place, right? It could have been signed 20 years ago for all they know, or don't know.
Yeah, they signed up as members for the FCM because there is value in the local governments being able to network together. And then they would come together, and if they needed support for different programs, they would create programs and look for funding from the provincial and federal government, right? And then in the 1990s, Kiclei was created, and they came over to Canada and worked with the FCM. And the first project that they did was to draft Agenda 21. And 1992, Agenda 21 was signed. The FCM went straight to work. They drafted the municipal primer on how Agenda 21 would be implemented through Canadian municipalities. And they launched the Partners for Climate Protection program, 1994. Wow. And ever since then, this has been happening. So 522 municipalities are signed up for the Partners for Climate Protection program, the Climate Action Plan program.
Wait, hold on. Did you say 500 and what? 25? Did you say just now?
522, and that number is going down. So that's good. But there's 2,000 member municipalities of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and a lot of those are small town rural communities. So last night I was in Castor, a small town of 800 people, and they're signed up for the FCM. So my wheels were turning, and I created a package now. So everyone across Canada hearing this can now go look to see if they have signed up for the FCM. And then there is a report for them to put into their email and send it to their counselors with a template on what to put in your email to send it to them. And then there's a petition you can take around, get a few signatures on that petition. I'll share it.
Is that on the website here?
Sorry, it's not on there. I'll put it up.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go.
Oh, I have to do that.
There we go.
All right, here it is.
Is that it?
Yep.
So now we have an advocacy package for the withdrawal of the FCM, and it's super simple, everyone. What we're going to do, I put a link there to Stettler's letter. You can check to see right here, if you click that link, if you've signed up as a member for the FCM, your council has. And then there is the report to send to your councillors. There is a letter that your council can send to the FCM to notify them of withdrawing. And then there's an email template that you can use to send that to your council. There is a petition ready to go, so you can gather signatures, and a very short, sweet deputation script along with Kiclei's code of conduct. And then what I'd like everyone just to recognize is how simple that letter was. How in a local council, they do things politely, right? I love that letter because it's kind of like the way I'm communicating with councils too, right? It's like, we don't like what you're doing. We're going to say that very nicely. And at the end, we're going to sum it up with, we're open to collaborating, and we hope that you shift course in the future, right? There's a reason why they ended that way. It's supposed to, we live in a civilized society. It's supposed to operate like that. People are supposed to come together in a council and disagree, but still be polite to one another, right? So it's kind of like how do I say it? It's like telling someone to bugger off in the nicest possible way, right? So, and actually coming off as the bigger person, right? So anyway,
or you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And the thing about this is people get so worked up, and I'm sure you've seen this. Or you go to the city council meeting or the municipality meeting, and what? Working with the United Nations, you're a traitor, and all of that stuff. And then they start ranting and raving, which either brings out some anger on the other side of things, or some sort of trepidation. Next thing you know, the cops are showing up and whatnot. I find it amazing how you are able to maintain such an even keel, considering all of this stuff is swirling around you all the time. Maybe that's why, because you've just gotten used to it.
I guess I recognize what's at stake if we lose. And if winning means staying calm, that's what I'm going to do. And I want to encourage everyone that every time we can calm ourselves down and present this material the right way, that is a win, right? We got to get ourselves in order first, I think, too. And anyway, it's the winning strategy. It's the only way we're going to win, is if we approach it this way. We will lose every time if we get out of control. Yeah. That's right. And even we have that Kiclei code of conduct, and I recommend everyone using our scripts. I can't control everyone. That's the other thing, right? I'm not going to, and I don't want to control everyone. I recognize that people are going to go in and they're going to learn from their experiences, right? And I trust that everyone really cares about this issue, and they want to do it right, and they will eventually find a way that works for them to communicate. We all have a way that we can effectively communicate. Not everyone's going to have the same approach I do, but it will work for them. So find what works for you and also not seeing the council as the enemy, and see them as the ones who have the power to make the decision to do the right thing. And our job is to convince them of the right thing to do and show them the reasons why. And the clerk and the staff, they are the instruction book, right? The council asks them all the time, what procedure do we use to get this done? And we can do the same thing. We can call them, let them know, hypothetically, this is what we want to do. What procedures do we need to follow in order to get there? And we just start making those moves. And if we're on the side of truth and we have the people behind us and it's the right thing to do, and we can convince them of that it's in the best interest of the residents and the municipality, then we win. That's it.
So when these folks in Alberta reached out to you, did they reach out as a group or was it one person? And the reason that I ask that, Maggie, is because, there's maybe somebody watching this right now. Let's say her name is Joanne and she's watching from Moosomin, Saskatchewan, and she sees one of these plans coming in her little town of 2,000 or 3,000 people, and she wants to do something, but she doesn't know anybody else who sees what's going on. Can one person reach out to you? Does it need to be a group? How does this work? And as far as the Kiclei thing, I mean, what you're doing is fantastic, but eventually you're going to run out of days in the year and hours in a day to be able to, keep these folks trained up, right? So you're going to have to start training trainers as well, right?
Yeah, it was the group that did deputations to the city of Calgary recently that got a lot of traction during budget season. They did a great job. They reached out, and Heather Shade reached out as well. She's been watching this work for a while. When FCM had their trade show in Calgary, a group of them went down with Kiclei flyers and were talking to the local leaders that were gathered there. And for people who want to do this across the country, there is, and have host me physically, for one thing, for the national tour, that's one thing. There is a registration form on the website, and just let me know what province you're in. And what I'll do is put together a little group of you, and you can coordinate with me together, because there's going to be a couple different stops along the way. And it's nice to work with just a small team in each province to really put this together, probably on the main page. So if you scroll down.
All right. So you're only just beginning your tour now. You still got a ways to go yet, it sounds like.
Yes, sir.
Oh, no.
So we'll just scroll down a little bit more. And the tour there. So register here. So if you'd like to help organize.
Wait a minute.
For the upcoming. Nope.
I saw the upcoming.
It's kind of at the bottom right there. Yep.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. They're right there. You can see that, guys? Right there. Register here. Zing. On the Kiclei.
And it's also.
Go ahead.
It's also on my Facebook page. You can look there. And everyone, I really recommend, don't just follow me on Facebook, but join us through the Kiclei site, right? Because that's where I can type in who is in Alberta, who is in Manitoba, who's following this work. And the people that have taken the effort to do the join us form, you're the people that I'm going to be reaching out to say, would you like to come to a day-long strategic workshop with me when I'm in your province, right? Yeah, and they're the ones getting the invitation. I'm not putting that link on my Facebook page for anyone just to come and spend the day, right? So there's that. And you'll also be the first to be notified when we're doing events in your area. And that way you can connect with people in your town, because there's probably a few of you there that should be getting together on a regular basis and talking about how you can influence your council to withdraw from these programs.
Calgary Town Hall. So you're this Sunday from 2 to 4 in Calgary at, is that Habib's Banquet Hall? Okay, cool.
Yes,
and
it
then
is.
On from there. So register if you're in Calgary, I suppose, are you heading west or are you coming back east? What is your plan? Or you're just going to go wherever your next request comes from?
So obviously I'll come back to Ontario, and I have the dates available for me to travel. So that's what we're working with. And it looks like I'll be possibly in Vancouver for my next stop. and then back to Alberta for 10 days in March. And I'll do Bonnyville, Edmonton, and Grand Prairie, and some stops in between. Alberta, I'm learning a lot while I'm here. It's their communities they've held their communities together very well. A lot of the small towns aren't turning into 15-minute cities here. They still have their community paper and their bulletin boards, and it's really interesting to see. So I love the way that they're organized here. They're very, very organized, and I think that's why they're just like, yeah, they're just right on it. Maggie, come and we'll take you across the province. And that's kind of what I want in every province. I need the people that are already doing regular events in their community to say, stop here along the way, and then work together with other group organizers to put that tour together with me. So
yeah, this is a big thing. And, because like we've all been saying, I think for the longest time now, the way to fight back is, we're going to have an election, Mark Carney, all that stuff. People are all, drawn into that kind of a conversation. But ultimately, it's going to be from the community, your community, outwards and upwards. It's not going to be top down anymore. This is the plan, right? You got to take control of your own community, your own environment, you and your neighbors, your family, all of the people that you have shared that community with for years and years. Now it's time to step up and protect it. And Maggie has got a plan here that is working. That letter from Stettler, fantastic. And I know you've had successes in Ontario as well, and you're going to keep doing it. All you need, in my opinion, is to get these folks to reach out to you and say, come and talk to my group here, because we want to take care of this issue as well. And I can't even tell you, Maggie, how proud I am of you. I am so incredibly proud of you for doing this. I'm so happy that you're doing this.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm a solution person, and I just know we got to do more than vote and protest. There's a whole bunch of things in between that tools that are available to us, and when we utilize them locally, it works. Write a petition with 500 signatures at the local level. Get stuff done, right? When it's paired with all the other steps we need to take. And I just see it like steps of the ladder. And if I want to reach that goal, I just need to take each step and I'll get there. So one foot in front of the other for all of us. And
okay, I'm putting this I'm putting the link to your website in the comments here. So it's in YouTube and X right now. It's on Twitch and on Facebook as well. So you guys, please at least go through the website. You guys watching right now, go through the website, get to the register here part. There's so much information on this. Look, how to take action with Kiclei Canada. And, people go, what is Kiclei? What is ICLEI? Basically, I forget even what ICLEI stands for. It's International, what is it?
Council, International Council on Local Environmental Initiatives. And Kiclei is kicking the International Council out of local environmental initiative, because we are a developed nation and we have no need of international lobbyists telling us how to do local environmental stewardship. Exactly. We have that expertise and knowledge.
And Kiclei, by the way, you guys, it's just a K in front of ICLEI. So KICLEI.ca. The link is in the comments, and I'll put it into Rumble as well for you guys, so you can go have a look and take action. If you've got some people in your community and you want Maggie to come out and give you guys this seminar and teach up some people so that you can yourself go and teach other people how to do this. This is how we're going to win. This is how we're going to win. Maggie, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Please stay in touch with me. I want to see where your tour takes you. We're going to follow you on Facebook, obviously, but I want to see when your next success is. We want to hear about it.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks everyone for watching and following the work, and just get involved. There's something we all can do.
Big hello to everybody in Alberta, Maggie. Thank you. We'll talk to you again.
Thank you.
All right. There's Maggie Hope Braun, everybody. She is doing some great work out there. And it may not, you might look at it and go, yeah, okay, whatever. Like some of you guys, I know, not all of you, but some of you might be saying that. And this is how we're going to do this. This is it. I mean, for those of you who sit there and say, Shadow, there is no political solution. Well, then what do you suggest? Storming the gates? Like, what's his name a couple of years ago was talking about? Who's the guy with the duster coat and the Stetson and I forget his name. Oh, yeah, we're going to go take over the RCMP in Regina. Dude, we're going to take over a courthouse. We're going to kidnap a judge. I mean, seriously, like that's the plan? Really? Look at what they did to protesters, just regular Canadian protesters in Ottawa. So we need to do this, like Maggie says, in an orderly way. And if we can maintain nice when you're angry inside, that's a whole other seminar, I guess. Because I'm still, it's very difficult for me to do that. But, you try. Because that's what my grandpa said to me, man. You catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So I want to thank Maggie again. He's doing a great job here. Kiclei.ca, you guys. Kiclei.ca. Today was the second and last day for Pat King's sentencing hearing in Ottawa. The sentence will come on February the 7th. And Right Blend, our friend Right Blend, the artist formerly known as Patriot Smoothie, did a report on it today. This is half report, half opinion, very passionate, very entertaining, and informative. He starts off by giving us his opinion, and then he's going to get worked up a little bit. But everything he says, and I've cut it down. You can go find it at Right Blend on Twitter, YouTube, on Facebook. He's put the whole thing up. It's like 15 or 20 minutes. I had to edit it down to about 7 or 8 minutes. So here he is talking about the Pat King hearing today.
A frankly shocking morning here at the Ottawa courthouse as day 2 of the sentencing hearing of convoy leader Pat King underway, with the Crown finally putting it on the record that they are asking for 10 years. And get this, the Crown said that was a restrained, on their behalf, but significant request. They said they calculated 14 years, but they could have given 26 with all the charges together. It's absolutely mind-blowing what's happening right now in those walls. It's hard to believe. And the arguments being made are bad. The judge is frequently saying, the judge came up quite early into the Crown spiel this morning and said, I don't see how this is a maximum sentence scenario. And the Crown went on and on and on and on. And when he thought they're done, back again, circling more than I do in my videos. Over and over again, it was actually, they described, of course, back to trial issues, the sound of horns, the pollution, and all this other stuff. But they tried to bring up case law. They said, well, when you look at it, it's not about parity. The Supreme Court in such and such decision said parity is a lesser consideration. The main is the gravity of the offense, the seriousness of the offense, and the seriousness of the offender. In that context, those are the priorities that should be considered for sentencing. Then there's the issue of the denunciation, denouncing the person as the sentencing acts as the public's condemnation of the action, and then deterrence from future people thinking they could do that. I talked about this a little bit in my video a short time ago about how I was worried about the talk of Convoy 60.0 could cause this, and that was part of the argument again today, but the main was the denunciation that it's not acceptable in our society. But the way that the Crown phrased this, frankly, I feel, and this is my opinion, throw me in jail for it, was an attack on the justice system. I feel like this was so far out of line as to be unacceptable. We're talking about what is the limit of what's acceptable in society. And he talked a lot about can't compare to this, can't compare to that, can't look at this case, can't look at that case. The Crown spent a lot of time saying, look at this offender in Convoy, convicted, charged in mischief, look at what they got. But now we're at the sentencing stage. We look at people like Marco van Hugenbos in Alberta, sentenced to 4 months for mischief, and now the Crown doesn't want to touch that with a 6,000-foot pole. The judge is basically like at one point, so you're asking me not to compare the other Convoy cases now, because this is a leader, you say it's unprecedented, there's no comparison, there's no parallel, there's no parity, and also because of the principle of the Supreme Court saying the significance of the offense and the offender as above parity and considerations. And he's like, no, it doesn't work like that. He's like, well, I'm going to consider everything. And he's like, oh, well, Marco van Hugenbos, the Crown says, in Coots, is not a leader, was not a leader. The court said they couldn't prove he was a leader. Here we have King's a leader. But then again, trying to time into all this, the community victim impact statement the Crown tendered yesterday from the witness tendered from the Crown, saying that there was these, whatever, they were afraid, they felt like hostages in the building, there was honking, there was someone suffered a mental health crisis, had to go to the hospital, all this stuff, trying to connect that to King. That's okay, but just never ends. And the Crown's saying that the lack of an aggravating factor is not a mitigating factor, so somehow that means send him to jail for 10 years. It doesn't make sense, folks. None of this makes sense. When you look at it, and I took extensive notes in there trying to transcribe this. It was moving fast. At times it was, frankly, it was heated, but respectful. But I find it to be an affront to justice. I find it an affront to our democracy. Basically, the Crown is saying that there needs to be a message sent here that people don't decide in the future to come and protest in Ottawa and to come have a convoy and try to change the democratically elected government. That's exactly the policy. That's exactly the purpose of a protest. As the judge pointed out, you can have a protest that gets out of control. As he said, he made findings here. That's where we are. But to say that, it's serious, but to say it's like the maximum 10 years, and then the Crown goes on and says, well, the courts have said that the appeals courts have said, and the Supreme Court said, when you look at the seriousness of an offense, the way to judge the seriousness of an offense is to look at the maximum mischief. 10 years, sexual assault, 10 years, assault causing bodily harm, 10 years. Frankly, and then the judge would say things like, well, to King's credit, every time he would come on a broadcast, he would say, remain peaceful, don't do violence. And then the Crown would come back and say, the absence of violence does not make it peaceful. Okay, she's like, certainly not being able to get a restful night's sleep is described as something that's not peaceful. So therefore, send them to 10 years. The Crown couldn't even take one person. All right, let me put it to you this way, folks, and this is a matter of the facts that have been found. The Crown couldn't take one person and say, Mr. King's words and actions led to this person doing that crime. That's why he was charged and convicted of counseling mischief, not committed. Counseling obstruct, not committed. Counseling disobey court order, not committed, because the Crown couldn't say one person did what they did because of what King said. The judge, again, like I keep saying, hasn't really gone. He said it directly in the court, the judge. He said, I'm not convinced that this is the highest end of moral culpability. He said, well, what did he intend to do? The Crown said he intended to come to the Ottawa to start the occupation. Then there was a rift with the leadership at some point in Ottawa, but it doesn't matter. He intended millions of trucks. He snuck trucks up on camp, do this, do that. Still, it's ridiculous. Then they talk about, the Crown's like, well, don't compare different elements of the offense. When the Crown's language in the sentencing hearing this morning sounded to me like intimidation, like the words from intimidation. They basically kept saying he was convicted of mischief and disobey court order and counsel obstruct, police not committed. I believe those are the breadth of the convictions. There's 5 in total, but that's the breadth of the conviction type. All of the intimidation charges he was acquitted of. Yet in the Crown's language this morning, what am I hearing? I am hearing the sounds, which basically sounds like a copy and paste from the criminal code on intimidation. They came to Ottawa to harass the citizens, to make the political change, to threaten and force the political change. That's a crime he wasn't convicted. He was acquitted of that, of intimidation. So you're going to take the mischief, the lawful interference with the lawful use of enjoyment of property, you're going to stretch it to intimidation, you're going to stretch it to sedition, because there's elements of where the Crown talked on and on and on about attacking the democratically elected government. He wasn't charged with sedition. He certainly wasn't convicted of it. Attack on democracy to come and protest? Come on. To try and affect change? Oh, come carry a sign is what he said at Wellington, but don't ever do anything like that. So I asked, what about the people, the unvaccinated Canadians in our country who were tortured by our government for not taking a shot? And what would have happened to me if I had done that and I had suffered a mortal injury or a serious life-altering injury like so many documented people have and have been neglected? They're fighting for compensation, for support. Who's responsible for that? Who's responsible for crushing our businesses, our families, our friendships, our social fabric in this country? Who's responsible for that? You want Mr. King to go to jail for 10 years? How much is Justin going to get? 2,000? That's what he deserves. 2,000 years. When are there going to be trials for real accountability in this country? We get Pat King loud and boisterous. These decisions that were made against the citizens of Canada were made without a scientific background, and they were made of a pseudo-religious belief, and people were persecuted and subjugated and separated because of it, and it did irreparable, immeasurable harm. Not sleepless nights for 2 or 3 weeks, but lost lives, untold physical and health damages, missed screenings, for routine medical issues that cause the loss of life that we cannot calculate properly? Who's accountable for that? I cannot believe this. It's okay for them to compare it. It's okay for them to bring up discharge. It's okay for them to stitch language from other offenses that were acquitted or not laid into mischief to try to make it something it's not. But don't look at what Marco van Hugenbos got. Don't look at what whatever got. Give him 10 years. That's a restrained and a severe time. But we calculated 14, and he could have got 26. So it's reasonable. It's reasonable, folks.
At Right Blend, you can find him on X, you can find him on Facebook and YouTube as well. Jonathan Villeneuve, fantastic job reporting that and summarizing and analyzing how the Crown conducted themselves these past couple of days. Again, the judge comes down with the sentencing on February the 7th. There's a couple of other things I want to throw up on the screen here real fast. I know it's top of the hour, guys. Actually, it's past top of the hour. You don't mind if I stay on a little longer tonight? I know it's Friday. You might have things to do, but I've still got a couple of things I want to cover. And then I do have an extension for the All Access as well tonight. Why are the trees burning from the inside in Los Angeles? That's kind of funky, don't you think? An arborist is going to talk about that in the extension tonight. Justin Trudeau has assembled, remember those tariffs, Trump is going to sign the tariffs, the big order, the executive order is coming on Monday or Tuesday, 25% tariffs across the board on Canada. I don't want to say hundreds of billions. The guesstimates are anywhere between $70 and $110 billion hit to our economy, which means tens of thousands of people lose their jobs or get temporarily laid off. Thank you, Justin Trudeau, for the ridiculous way in which you have handled this country in the past 9 years. We cannot have an election soon enough. I am hearing that Mark Carney is in talks with Jagmeet Singh to keep the Liberal government afloat until sometime in the future. We don't know if it's going to be the end of this parliamentary session, past the end of March, or if it's going to be right up until the election date, which is supposed to be October 20th. And Mark Carney even stated yesterday in his announcement, his big press conference, his announcement he's running for the Liberal leadership, that he doesn't know where he's going to run because he's got to have a seat in the House of Commons. He doesn't need a seat to be the prime minister, weirdly enough, in our stupid system. But he does eventually have to become a member of the House of Commons. And he doesn't know where he's going to run. He said that out loud. I don't know where I'm going to run. Justin Trudeau is still the prime minister, at least for now. And he has assembled a new Canada-U.S. Relations Council to support the federal government as it deals with the incoming Trump administration's vow to impose tariffs. This comes from left-wing corporate Global News. It's an 18-member council, includes representatives from the auto sector, unions. Why do we need unions on this? Industry and agriculture. It also includes Steve Verheil, who was Canada's chief trade negotiator during the renegotiation of NAFTA, Canada's ambassador to the United States, Kirsten Hillman, former ambassador David McNaughton, Jody Thomas, the prime minister's former leader of national security. 3 former premiers made the list: Jean Charest, Nova Scotia Stephen McNeil, and Rachel Notley, NDP, former NDP premier, Rachel Notley, along with Notley's former chief of staff, Brian Topp. You do understand that Donald Trump will not take this council or Justin Trudeau seriously going forward, because he understands exactly how weak they are positioned in this country. He gets that. And it's kind of funny that the only one he's met with so far is the Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, who's going down for his inauguration on Monday, I think, down to Washington. And what the left wing in Canada are now trying to do, and you can see this all over social media, is vilify Danielle Smith and Pierre Poilievre by saying Smith and Poilievre are on Team Trump versus Team Canada. So, hilariously and ironically, Justin Trudeau, who stated that Canada is a post-national state with no core identity, no core mainstream, is now Mr. Canada And he's trying to paint Pierre Poilievre and Danielle Smith as the villains. That is hilarious. The guy who has single-handedly sunk this country for the last 9 years and put us in the state that we're in right now is suddenly Captain Canuck waving a flag. That is rich. I hope people aren't falling for it. So listen, this is kind of important. There's been a lot of people freaking out about this new ECOS poll that conveniently came out the day after Mark Carney announced. Everybody remember that Mark Carney's campaign is being run by the same people who were behind Justin Trudeau for the past 15 years. Before he became an MP, when he became an MP, when he became the Liberal leader, and then when he became Prime Minister. These people are Katie Telford and Gerald Butts. And now those very same people and that same group, that same construct is supporting the Mark Carney campaign. So they've got the connections with the media. They've got the American connections. They've got connections with business. They've got connections with everybody across this country to put Mark Carney over. So yes, of course, he is going to win. He's even got a pollster in his pocket. Now, I was saying the other night that you mostly have to trust the polls. When you're talking about Angus Reid, you're talking about Leger, those are top-rated pollsters. This poll came out from ECOS. We're going to get to that story in just a second. This poll came out from ECOS. Now, before we even look at this poll, I want you to understand who is behind ECOS. It's a guy by the name of Frank Graves. Frank Graves is a contract instructor with the Department of Sociology and Anthropology at Carleton University. But in 2010, Graves was criticized making disparaging remarks against the Conservative Party, such as, "If the cranky old man in Alberta don't like it, too bad. Go south and vote for Palin." As he provided polling services to the Canadian Broadcasting Company, a review was carried out which concluded the matter had been dealt with. Graves later apologized for incendiary comments. He is a lifelong Liberal. When all the other polls are showing the Conservatives at around 45% and the Liberals around 20, maybe 21%, with the NDP 2 points or 3 points behind, this is what ECOS is showing us. Wow, look at this. The Conservatives are at 39% and the Liberals suddenly, magically, miraculously have shot up from 20% to 28%. The federal vote intention. If there were an election held tomorrow, which party would you vote for? And the headline on this is Conservative lead narrows to 11. So Frank Graves is trying to put the Liberal Party over, but at the same time, maintain respectability amongst his polling peers. Yeah, I've got the Conservatives in the lead. So do you, right? Yeah, but dude, I mean, every other poll shows the Conservatives are leading by 20 points or more. You've got them at 11. Who are you talking to? Exactly. You're a liar. He's definitely on the take. And not from the Liberal Party, from Justin Trudeau's inner circle who are supporting Mark Carney in this Liberal leadership election. Chrystia Freeland is going to announce her candidacy for all the good it's going to do her and waste that $350,000 on Sunday. And also, what's her name? Karina Gould, the government House leader for the Liberal Party in the House of Commons. We believe she's going to announce her campaign on Sunday as well. Again, it's whatever. Carney is the chosen one. His campaign has been told to cease using an alleged stolen campaign logo. Here's what you see on Mark Carney's social media now. I'm in. And this is the logo in question here, this M with a little maple leaf under it. Mark Carney's bid to be the next leader of the Liberal Party is off to a rocky start as the logo for his campaign has been called out for plagiarism. Carney's logo features that capital M in red with a maple leaf in white outlined at the bottom, appears eerily similar to the logo of Met Credit, an Alberta debt collecting firm with offices across the country. Carney publicly launched his blah, 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 blah. While its likeness has already spurred much criticism online, True North reacted or reached out to Met Credit to get their perspective on the matter. Well, I didn't give them permission to use it. I'm not sponsoring their campaign, and I'm not a Liberal. Met Credit President and CEO Brian Sommerfeld told True North the logo was trademarked in Canada in 2020 and in 2023 in the U.S. Stop using it, Mark. Oh, there's one more thing. I want to see if I can find it. Bear with me, you guys. Got to go up on X for this one. Chrystia Freeland has released a photo for her campaign launch. And it was up all over X. There it is right there. There's Chrystia Freeland's new campaign photo. Red. Did she learn nothing from that Joe Biden State of the Union address? Remember that one a few years ago when it was all red and black and he was shaking his fists and oh my goodness. So people are asking on X who's responsible for designing this. And my answer was the devil. That's what it looks like to me. Look at this. There she is. All that's missing, horns, pitchfork, cloven hooves. Okay, there has been a horrifying video that's been making the rounds on, I think, mostly Instagram. When you go to the shorts and you start zipping through all the shorts there, that's where I first saw this, and I couldn't believe it. This was a few days ago I saw this. It's a very nonverbal, handicapped person who looks to be strapped to a chair after undergoing top surgery. And I was like, I've watched that and I've been horrified by it. Well, Becky Weiss is a fitness instructor and she's also an anti-grooming advocate. You may have seen some of her videos. He did something more tasteful than just showing the video. And she also is outraged that anybody would do this to another human being in the first place. Who would give permission for this to be done? Who are this person's guardians? Because a person like this will need guardians. And who are the doctors that actually would think that this was a good idea? So I'm going to tell you guys right now, even this particular version is really strong. So if you don't want to see this, just turn your head for the next, how long is this video? A couple of minutes. And then come back. Here we go.
I'm sure a lot of you have seen this floating around today, so we are going to talk about it. First and foremost, I have chosen not to play the video because, frankly, it is difficult to watch. And secondly, I am covering the individual's face out of respect for this individual because I do believe that we are looking at an extremely serious case of medical malpractice as well as medical abuse. Something you should be aware of, this is not a medically necessary double mastectomy for breast cancer or anything of that nature. This is an elective transgender surgery that was performed on a nonverbal, extremely disabled individual. The following video was posted to this individual's Instagram account right before this individual underwent surgery. What kind of doctor? What kind of doctor would perform this surgery on an individual who is as incapacitated as this? What type of money-chasing pile of garbage, human piece of shit, thinks that this is okay? Oh, and it gets worse. It gets worse. Leading transgender doctor insists that nonverbal autistic minors can consent through their drawings because they can draw their feelings, okay? It gets worse again because they say that if someone cannot consent, it's discriminatory. If you think this is anything other than malpractice and abuse done in the name of money, you are out of your freaking mind. This is fucking unacceptable.
You can see the video uncovered on X if you choose. It is very, as Becky points out, it is very difficult to watch. Even that was, for me, very difficult to watch. You guys know who Isabel Braun is? I played one video of hers a couple of months ago. I think she's awesome. She kind of reminds me of Jasmine Lane, who we had on the show last week. Isabel Braun is a Gen Z social media influencer on the conservative side. Remember the old, I think from 1960s, Paul Harvey did, "If I were the devil and I wanted to destroy civilization, here's what I'd do." Well, she updated it using ChatGTP. If I wanted to destroy Western society, I found this very interesting. Here it is.
If you were Satan and wanted to destroy America, how would you do it? ChatGPT responded, I would undermine the family structure by breaking down traditional family values and norms by promoting confusion around gender roles, sexual ethics, and parental authority. I would sow division and hatred by amplifying divisions across political, racial, and ideological lines, and by using the media and social media platforms to escalate polarization. I would corrupt the education system by diluting and distorting history, values, and truth itself. I would attack faith and religion through weakening the role of churches and encouraging apathy and hostility toward religious belief. I'd promote materialism and self-interest, making people prioritize their wealth and status over community and service to the people around them. I would encourage moral decay by normalizing behaviors traditionally seen as vices to blur the lines between right and wrong. I would undermine the government and institutions through eroding trust in law enforcement, the judicial system, and democracy itself, fostering corruption within the government, making leaders self-serving and out of touch with the American people. And maybe most importantly, I would attack the sanctity of life, particularly through abortion and euthanasia, to shift societal attitudes to see life as less valuable.
Makes sense if you were the devil. Shadow Night live stream is brought to you by CanadaNanoSilver.com.
Comparing Crest toothpaste to SilverSeuticals toothpaste. First, we're starting out with Crest. It's a classic, it's an original. It's what I've used most of my life. But that being said, it does have its problems. First off, the consistency is so weird and thick, and I get it's a paste, but it really doesn't spread that well. And I must also say that I'm not in love with the taste. I get toothpaste isn't supposed to taste good, but why shouldn't it? But that being said, it does get the job done. Next, we have SilverSeuticals. They have 3 flavors, but today we're going with Bubbleberry. And already it smells so good. So I'm excited to see what this tastes like. The consistency is also a lot smoother, and I must say it spreads way nicer in your mouth.
This literally tastes like fruit bubblegum.
Yeah, this toothpaste was pretty good. I actually went in for seconds, and it's infused with nano silver, so it helps remineralize your teeth and keep them fresh throughout the day.
100% go with SilverSeuticals.
And here's the results. What's your favorite toothpaste?
The toothpaste was so good, I brushed my teeth twice at once. CanadaNanoSilver.com, 204-808-9292. Go to the website, my friends, and check out where all the retail locations are in case you're not one of these people that likes to order things online. You can find a retail location. You become a retailer as well. You can. If you like the products, you think, hey, other people would like these too, I can sell them. And it would be easy for these people to get them because they know where I live. And Shirley, she just lives like a block and a half away. It would be really easy for her. You can talk to Kevin and Anna about that when you go to the website, CanadaNanoSilver.com. You hit the Get in Touch tab there and email them, and they'll get right back to you, even when they're in Mexico, because they're dedicated. CanadaNanoSilver.com. All right. Couple more things before we split for the extension on ShadowDavis.com here. This is a video of a Pakistani pedophile getting caught.
It's 12 o'clock, 12:30. Okay? Answer honestly. How old is the young girl that you're meeting?
You say 13.
13, thank you.
It's my mistake, very big mistake.
Twice, 2 mistakes. 2 girls. You all right?
Yeah, I know it's my mistake. Both of them my mistake.
Do you understand pedophilia? 3 girls.
3 girls.
3 girls. 2 13-year-olds. 1 14-year-old. You from Pakistan, yeah? Your family probably watching you now. When the child told you she is 13, you said, even 10, no problem. Yes? You said, you wrote this. When the child told you she was 13, you said, even 10, no problem, I don't care. Yes? Do you remember saying this? Yes? Adil, do you remember saying this? Stop looking so sorry for yourself, because not once have you asked how this young girl is. Do you even know where she is now? She's at the police station, answering for your mistakes, as you put it. Snake of a man. Even 10, no problem, I don't care. 10 years old? Three young girls.
What we know of at the moment.
Step back, guys.
Morning. Oh, good, you? Yeah.
Yeah, that's him getting arrested. So that's the culture that's being imported over here. I find it ironic that all of these left-wingers, all of these neo-Marxists are standing up for the Palestinians who want Sharia law, which will minimize any woman. Any woman. They wouldn't be able to leave the house without wearing clothing from head to toe and their face masked as well. The burqa, right? Women can be stoned to death in the streets for merely speaking with another man out of turn. There's so many archaic laws involved with Sharia law. And yet the Marxists will look at conservative people and call us archaic. What's that movie they keep quoting? The Something Wife? It's not The Scarlet Letter, it's something else, but I don't really pay attention to that stuff. You know, I saw this video today and I thought, wow, man, I've got to show this on the show tonight, because sometimes this show can be pretty heavy, can be a lot for a lot of people. And I don't often show the good stuff, the nice things. And so when I saw this video, I went, I think I'm going to put this on tonight. So this is something I just call kindness. It's only 60 seconds. And it shows incredible kindness, but it also shows how our society is kind of decayed, but that it's still savable. It's still salvageable. So let's have a look. You know, so many people do the right thing for the wrong reasons, right? Virtue signaling. Usually that's the wrong thing, obviously for the wrong reasons. But politicians, for example, you know, they want to make a show of something they've done. So they've got a team of photographers, 10 of them all taking pictures of, you know, them standing next to somebody who turned 100 today or whatever. But these are actual video captures of people doing the right thing just because It's how they were brought up. It's how they were raised. It's how society should be. If you see an old lady on a bus with a freaking cane or a walker, and you're sitting there with your big old headphones on playing your video game, what kind of person are you? And thank God that there's people like that dude who rolled up and tapped that guy on the shoulder and said, hey, man. Or the woman, the older lady who spilled a milkshake or whatever it was she was drinking, milk, whatever. And what did that young girl sitting next to her do? She gets up, oh my God. Probably one of those neo-Marxist pro-Palestine supporters. Some kid from across the aisle gets up, takes his shirt off, and wipes up the mess that the old lady made. She hugs him. She's so appreciative of that small, small thing. A homeless person freezing on a bus. Here's my jacket. I'll go buy another one. Don't worry about it. And then somebody immediately walks up behind that guy. Here's a sandwich for you. But you have to wonder, how long was that person sitting there before anybody noticed and did anything? Why did that young girl, instead of helping the older lady she was next to on the bus, get up and go, ooh, oh my God? Why did that kid with the big headphones in the video game not notice a senior citizen standing 2 feet away from him with a walker? Are we too self-absorbed? Is it how our kids were raised? Can we fix this? Do we have to start calling it out ourselves when we see it? I think that's probably the way to go. All right. And I got a little bit emotional seeing that because I know that we can come back from this. All right, that's it for the show tonight, you guys. The social media part of it anyway. What is it, like 9:30? Still got a whole extension to do. So I'll see you all access members at shadowdavis.com in just a couple of minutes. If you're not a member, please become one. Shadowdavis.com, SHADOEDAVIS.com. Tonight, we're going to talk about why are these trees in Los Angeles, these massive fires, why are these trees burning from the inside? What the hell is going on exactly? For the rest of you, have a great weekend, and I'll catch you Monday night at 8 o'clock Central for another Shadow at Night live stream. Unless the world explodes over the weekend, then I'll jump on and do a little thing for you. Just to let you know. I love you all. I appreciate you all, and I will talk to you on the next one. Bye for now.